Captain America the First Avenger. So after Iron Man 2008, Captain America got his own movie just so you can get like an introduction to who like Steve Rogers is, how he got the Super Soldier Serum, and how he became the Captain America in the MCU that is to be. So I'm going to tell you some of my favorite scenes from this movie specifically. The first one we have is the grenade scene. The grenade scene is like in the beginning of the movie where Steve is still like very skinny before like he got the Super Soldier Serum and stuff like that. Very, basically skinny as like a pencil on it. So this scene is like where a grenade basically goes off and Steve dies on it without a second thought, and just to save like for the people that's there. I really love the scene because like it shows like how selfless Steve is. He's willing to help people without a second thought, even though, like I said, he has no powers, no super serum. He's just regular old Steve Rogers. And basically, it showed like the instructor and Howard Stark that maybe this guy is worthy of that serum, and he's worthy of like becoming like the Captain America because like he helped people without second thought, even though he didn't have anything himself, and he could get hurt. So my second favorite scene from this movie is I Can Do This All Day, the first fight. So this is basically where Steve is like so skinny and like he's confronted by this bully that's been bullying him. And Steve is willing to stand up to this bully, even though he knows he will lose. And he doesn't have any powers, no super soldier serum. He's just regular old Steve Rogers. So Steve stands up to him with the trash can lid, like basically like foreshadowing, like if he gets a shield like later on. And yeah, of course, like he loses. But the reason why I love this scene so much is that Steve was willing to stand up to this bully, regardless, and even knowing that he would lose. And eventually, like Bucky, this is where we get a first introduction to Bucky, like comes to help him out and takes the bully down. But really love this scene is that it shows like the friendship between like Steve and Bucky, and that's why basically he defended him in Civil War like later on because of that friendship that he developed with Bucky during the war and stuff like that. And when like he helped him out when he was at his lowest, and when he had no powers, no super soldier, no nothing. And my third favorite scene from this movie is destroying Hydra's base. Now, this scene is ripped straight out of a comic book. The shots, the framing, the entrance, everything about the scene is just fantastic. The way they did it is like chef's kiss, man. That's how you do it. It's so good. I really love the scene so much, and like it's just so well done. So Captain America, the First Avenger 2011 gets a 8 out of 10. Captain America the Winter Soldier, the sequel to Captain America the First Avenger. And even still, 11 years later, this MCU movie is still really good. It's grounded, it's gritty, the fight scene part is just fantastic, the writing is also fantastic. If you want to do like a street level like MCU movie, like it's grounded, gritty and stuff like that, take an example from Captain America the Winter Soldier. That's how you do it. So I'm going to tell you my favorite scenes from this movie. The first one we have up is Captain America versus the Winter Soldier. Hallway, like the fight scene. This is where we first get introduced to the Winter Soldier. And you see like Black Widow running away. Now when you see Black Widow running away from someone, you know he or she is terrified. And the Winter Soldier is terrifying in the scene. And Steve having to fight him. The fight choreography is so good. And this is, like I said, this is how like you do like a grounded, like gritty, like MCU movie. If you want to do like basically like a street level type, this is how you do it. The fight choreography was fantastic and just spot on. Now next up we have Falcon versus the Winter Soldier. So this is where we get introduced to Falcon and like Steve. And to think, Falcon and the Winter Soldier go from fighting like this to Falcon and the Winter Soldier show years later. Basically, they became friends to Cap, essentially, and as Bucky got better, like later on, they started working together a lot more. But this is how we get introduced like Falcon versus like the Winter Soldier. This scene is done really well. I love like the choreography here. It's done so good. And like the fight scenes between like Falcon and Winter Soldier is done very well as well. I love it. And now last we have Steve Rogers versus Bucky Barnes. Now this scene is, I think, a really like heartbreaking scene. Like imagine like you're Steve and you have to fight like your best friend who's being brainwashed by a villain. A best friend that you've known since like the war, basically like the first Captain America First Avenger. And you've been friends with him for a long time, but you have to fight him. And you could tell like basically in this fight scene they were like holding back because they didn't want to hurt each other because like they're still friends. But Bucky is being brainwashed by someone. This fight scene is done so well. The hand-to-hand combat, like the fight choreography is done so good. The shots in the scene are really good. It's just fantastic. So, Captain America the Winter Soldier gets a 9 out of 10. Captain America Civil War. This movie still to this day is fantastic. The airport scene, the fight choreography during that scene is still really good. And two new characters get introduced into the MCU, that being Spider-Man and Black Panther. So I'm going to tell you some of my favorite scenes from this movie. First up, we have the Black Panther chase scene. Now, this chase scene is done really, really well. The shots during the chase scene are chef's kiss. The camera angles, everything is on point. It's perfect. Chadwick Boseman's acting during the scene is also fantastic. He was like a fantastic Black Panther. He was so good in this scene. Next up, we had The Living Are Not Done With You Yet. Now, this is a scene between Black Panther and Zemo when he went to find him. And instead of fighting Zemo, he tries to connect with him on a more human level and telling Zemo yeah, I'm not gonna let vengeance consume me anymore. And he doesn't want to go after Zemo, take vengeance on Zemo or anything. And instead tries to connect with him on a more human level and trying to understand what Zemo was going through. And I love Chadwick Boseman's acting here, and the guy who plays Zemo, I love his acting here as well. This scene is so well done, and it's just fantastic acting from both actors. And the final one we have is Iron Man vs. Captain America, the final battle scene. Now, this one, when I saw it in theaters, this is one of the most heartbreaking scenes because, up until this point, the Avengers have been together always. And was always stuck together as a team and always made it out okay. But in this one, Cap and Tony do get into a bit of a tiff because Tony did see that Bucky killed his parents, and he is very angry with Cap that he's basically defending him over Tony, and the battle scene during this is just intense, gritty, and you feel the heartbreak for Tony, you feel the heartbreak for Cap, and you feel the heartbreak for Bucky because he didn't know what he was doing at the time. He was basically brainwashed. And the fight choreography during this scene is just fantastic. The line delivery, the acting from Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Sebastian Stan is fantastic as well, and it's such a really heartbreaking scene. So, Captain America Civil War gets a 9 out of 10. Captain America Brave New World takes 9 years after Captain America Civil War. I'm going to tell you some of my favorite scenes for this movie, and I'll save my thoughts on the movie after I tell you some of my favorite scenes. So the first we have up are Captain America Brave New World, the Isaiah Bradley. So Isaiah Bradley does come back in this movie, and in this scene he trains Sam, Captain America, and Falcon Walking Taurus, and I just love their interaction in this scene. It's really good. The acting, the writing, everything is just really fantastic, and I love Cap and working towards his banter here reminds me a lot of Sam and Bucky from Falcon and Winter Soldier. This scene is done really well, and I love the guy who plays Isaiah Bradley. He did really good too. And the next scene we have up is Captain America. You need a minute? So this is in the beginning of the movie where Sam still has a blue and white outfit from Falcon and Winter Soldier, goes after one of the members of the Serpent Society, big old dude. And this scene shows he has a hard time taking him down. It shows that Sam he does not have super soldier share and stuff like that, and has a harder time taking down villains a little more powerful than him. Yeah, the fight choreography in the scene could have been a little better. Other than that, I really enjoyed the scene. I love Sam's banter here, and I love they did take him down with one less good punch in the scene. It was so good. So my thoughts on the movie are that the problems with the movie are not Anthony Mackie's performance. I thought his performance as Sam was in Captain America was still really good. He carried over from the Falcon and Winter Soldier. He still did a really good job, in my opinion. He was really Falcon, Walking Taurus. He also did a really good job. I loved him in this movie. It was really, really good. His chemistry with Sam, some of that is also really good. I thought it was written very well. And leader in this movie was also good. I love that he's very intimidating in this movie. You always see him from the shadows, his eyes, but when you show him up close, it's dang, he really is intimidating. And I really love the performance by Tim Blake Nelson that he did in this movie is good as well. So that's what I liked about the movie. So what I didn't like about this movie is I felt that they were juggling too many villains in this movie. You had Leader, you had Hulk, you had Sidewinder. You could have cut out Sidewinder because I thought He was like very relevant to the movie itself, and he just killed off early. So I don't know what the point of having him was. He was just gonna get killed off early, and I thought they should have saved Red Hulk as a surprise for the movie rather than spoiling him in the trailer. It would have been a lot more like excitement. But if you show him in the trailer, you're like, oh, we're gonna expect like Red Hulk. It lessens a surprise and it lessens like the more shock value than when he shows up. So yeah, and like some of like the pacing in my opinion is really rushed, and like the reshoot they're like very apparent is like very sloppy in my opinion. So they're just trying to get like the 1 hour mark, but I thought if they were stuck with like a longer running time, in my opinion, that they would have gotten a lot more character development, had the time to put more characters in, a lot more story, and like, a lot more explanation for what some characters are doing there, stuff like that. So yeah, that's my problems with the movie. So other than that, I give the movie a 7 out of 10. I still had a really good time with the movie. Despite its flaws and stuff like that, I still had a really, really, really good time with the movie. It's really good. So I think you should go and see it yourself and like form your own opinion and let me know what you think.